That work?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Fucking thing blowing.
Good. I feel like I'm a little shorty. Does this thing lift up? Or
I think it does. Yeah, it should have the.
It's moving very gingerly. That's good. I think we're good.
I know. Just
cool.
the arm broke off on that. Just be careful.
Good.
Don't
You give the guest that's it.
Actually, oh no, I did. One of these arms was taped together too. We keep it blue collar.
Love it, man. Keep it real, bro. That's how it's supposed to be, man. That's what I love about you, homie.
Keep it blue collar.
This is wild that I'm here right now. First of all,
that's cool, man. But it's wild, dude. I fucking, I knew exactly who you were before you called me too. No, I swear to God, I saw it.
Did you think I was a mook?
Yeah, but I said, I go, he probably, like we all, fucking 15, 20 years, 10 years ago, we all went through our stages. But I also, I always was into like unique, like you doing shit to stand out. Like I'm all for that. Like to me, it was fucking genius. It's hilarious. Like you're like being known for the whole, like the guy who had his dad shave his ass, but like fucking, I watched, I don't know, as 90% of the MTV True Lives, I could name fucking 2 things that happened on them, yours being one. Right. So to me, it's fucking brilliant. So while, the rest of the world might be like, fucking Jersey meatheads, jerk-offs, mooks, like, I'm like, yo, that fucking dude's the smartest of all the fucking assholes they've had on this show. He fucking had the shit figured out.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
I see things differently.
I was just telling, I forgot your name, bro.
Kevin.
Kevin?
I look like an Anthony, but I'm...
You do look like an Anthony.
You're going to say I look like an asshole, but I'm Kevin.
We're going to call you Anthony. That fucked me up for a while, that episode, a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, because I was so hyped about it. Like, yes, I was competitive bodybuilder, and that was like my catapult. I knew that they would find that attractive, right? It was perfect for that episode. But then I was more intrigued with the whole TV. Like that's what I wanted to do, and I don't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do on it, but I just wanted to be on TV, use my personality.
Yep.
I have to get the gab. I feel like I can, I don't know, be a little bbit entertaining, and I was intrigued by it. So when I worked my ass off, I don't know if you saw the videos that I had, what I had to do to get on.
That's what I wanted to ask you, but I didn't understand. Did you know when you were like in the streets doing stuff trying to get MTV's attention, was that because they were having auditions for True Life, or you just went to New York and was like, let me try to get their attention?
Quick little story. I was intrigued by it. I was in between jobs. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. Dropped out of college, hated it. It wasn't for me. My parents were like, no bullshit, old school Italians. Like you're either going to go to college or you're going to find a trade. You're not going to be a couch potato. You're not going to be a lazy ass, right? So I had that work ethic, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't want to be working for a corporate. I heard you actually, one of your recent podcasts talk about it would make you nauseous and give you panic attacks when you thought you had to work for a corporate bank, right? Yeah. So I'm like, that's not me. I got to find something. But I was also passionate about fitness. How can I put these two things together? So I quit my job. I was working in a steel factory, making good money at the time. Quit my job. Saved up a little bit of money, and the idea just started like, all right, I'll go to MTV, and they did TRL, which was live every day, right? So I was like, oh, I'll just go in front of TRL, and I'll just get the crowd going. Maybe we'll do like a synchronized dance or something outside to get the cameras from TRL to kind of see us, and then maybe they'll pull me, like dreaming, right? Like I was big pipe dream. Like they'll call me up, and that'll be like my, then I'll meet people, and then I'll get my way in.
So it was just a total fucking crapshoot. You're just like, I'm going to go out in the street downstairs from their building.
So it snowballed, and I put this thing together. I had a stretch limo planned or scheduled. My parents didn't know I quit my job. I was like going to my brother's house with my lunchbox every day, like I was going to work, because they would have fucking killed me. So I was going to my brother's house. I had this little bit of money. I had staff shirts made up. I had my brother, he had a staff shirt on. I had a girl I was dating at the time, she had a staff shirt on. I had a photographer, a videographer, and I had a skin-tight white shirt. And my goal was to go and hand out t-shirts. It was right after 9/11. So I had like a 9/11 ribbon, and in the back I had my picture with my cell phone number on it, like I was promoting myself. What? I don't know.
That's so funny.
But there's no social media back then, so I had to do something kind of out of the box. So I rolled up, and on the way up there, nobody knew what I was doing. So I told them in the limo, I said, all right, we're doing this thing. And they were a little bit like, are we going to get arrested? When I left the house, I'm like, Ma, watch MTV today at 3 o'clock. She's like, what are you doing? Are you going to get in trouble? I'm like, no, everything's good. So I told them in the limo, I said, all right, we're doing this thing. I said, but if people ask you, say you work for PMF Productions, and they're like, what's PMF Productions? I'm like, well, it's really, my version of it is Pomofo Productions, and we're doing this because I had no job, I had no money, like I was just risking it all, you know.
Yeah.
But as people ask, just say you're working for Promotional Marketing Federation. They were like, all right, cool. So that was the game plan.
Yeah.
We had fun. TRL was not live that day, so now.
So you had no idea.
We had this limo set up, and we're like, all right. Well, I had to think on the fly. I'm like, all right, we have 50 T-shirts, we have 50 bottles of water. Let's go hit the streets. So we went to fire departments, met some firemen and police officers, and thanked them for the 9/11 kind of support.
Yeah.
Pulled up in front of Rockefeller Center, and I took my shirt off and I just started posing in front of the flags. And like within a couple minutes, there was a crowd of people around me asking for my picture. Meanwhile,
Isn't it funny?
I'm not Joe DeFranco. I'm not anybody who needs any, like, who am I? So I started like dancing.
That's another great thing. If you act like you're somebody and act as if, dude, people will fucking put a staff shirt on. People will wonder who you are.
Who are you?
Start posing with no shirt on. You must be famous.
Right.
Like, got the balls to do that. It's got to be somebody. Got some people around them. Must be important.
And I got the cool video. My buddy was filming it. He saw like the NBC. People were like looking at it down the window, like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Long story short, nothing happened that day, obviously, but I took that video, and there's no editing software back then. At least I didn't have access to it or the knowledge to use it. So I dubbed 2 VCRs together, and I filmed the whole thing. I documented it, and I created like big promo tapes.
I remember doing that, the 2
right?
VCRs. Oh my god!
I wish that was still a thing. Right? I wish I had 2 VCRs.
I would know how to edit if that was still a thing. Kind of. Sort of. Yeah.
So I made a couple promo, tapes or whatever, and then I just started sending it to MTV, and then I started emailing them, and then ironically.
Was True Life a show at that point?
Nope, it was a series. And then like a year later, I promise you, I did it in April 19th. My grandfather passed away, and he was a big like union guy, and he was always stand up for yourself. So I took that concept and I made it my purpose that day, right? So a year later, I promise you, beginning in April, the next year, April 2003, they called me up. This guy, Pat, from executive producer for MTV, he's like, we've been getting your emails. And meanwhile, back then, I used to big, chunky, red text. I used to be the asshole, but I stood out.
And people were opening emails more at that point,
100%.
too. They're not probably getting as a million that they probably get now.
Right.
Yeah.
So he responded. He asked me if I wouldn't want to be part of this episode, True Life, I Want the Perfect Body, and that's how it came out, man. So I was like, absolutely. Meanwhile, I wasn't competing at the time, or I didn't have any competitions planned. But I'm like, all right, cool. I'm online. I'm like, all right, what schedule? What can I train for this thing? You know what I mean?
How much time from when you got that phone call to when they came and filmed the episode?
So 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's quick.
They started in probably May, and they filmed the end of April, beginning of May, and the beginning of June. So like maybe like 4 to 6 weeks. And then I competed that June in the competition. I took third, which was another defeat that I had. I was telling Kev before, like that show messed me up a little bit because I was like peak, and I thought that was going to be my ticket to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit! Like I visualized it, and now it's here. It's right now. But then it was like, what's going on now? And I kind of like that empty feeling. I'm sure you've been there. We're going to talk about that.
Many times.
What's the peak, right? After that, what's the day after look like? After you get that whatever, at the big
That's a real thing. But even before, when I was in college, I competed. I don't know. How old are you?
42.
Oh, so you were were you into Muscle Media magazine
absolutely.
And Bill Phillips and that whole thing? I competed in that first
Body for Life.
The Body for Life, the Lamborghini challenge, that whole thing when he was giving away $50,000. I still have before social media and even email. It was you had to fill out. It was they sent you a packet. You had to write an essay of why you should be the grand spokesperson champion. You had to save all your receipts of your EAS supplements, staple them to the packet, and then send a physical picture, like a Polaroid of your before and after. Right. And I was always more into. I played football and more into performance like type training. So I never was into the bodybuilding thing as much as I was into training. But I went 16 weeks hard of basically starving myself. I didn't know as much about nutrition. I just starved myself, lifted fucking ephedrine every single day, lost like 35 pounds, got shredded for the first time in my life. But what I remember about that was when it was over, like that day I was done and like you had to get your pictures in, like it was almost like I went into like a weird depression and I didn't know why, because I was like, I was looking forward to it the whole time because I was hungry and I couldn't wait to have the cheat meal and just fucking not have everything so scheduled and rigid. Yeah. But then when I had that, I woke up that morning and was like, oh fuck, I don't have to like prepare my breakfast and be at the gym at a certain time. And like, I just felt like, what do I fucking do now? I feel like I'm a loser. Right. It was really weird. I never understood that until I went. I've heard bodybuilders talk about that. I've heard fighters talk about that. Like after a fight, win or lose, you're just kind of like, oh fuck, now what? Like
Michael Phelps talks about it.
At this peak, and now, and it's so stupid to compare my dumb fucking EAS bodybuilding thing, but it was something I put so much time. It was my life for 16 weeks. Like everything I ate, everything I fucking was timed, my workouts, everything, and then it was just like, oh, you don't have to do it anymore. And I was like,
I want to do it, right?
Yeah, and I feel like I want to, even though I was miserable while I was doing it. Right. I kind of miss it because now I feel like, what the fuck am I doing? Right. It's crazy.
I had a podcast, really Michael Phelps with Tony Robbins a couple months ago, and he was talking about the same thing. Now here's a guy, he's the most awarded Olympian, right? And he goes through it. He went through it many times in his career because that's like the epitome. And I think what it comes down to is you love the journey so much, and you crave it. Like you like the grind.
Yeah.
Like you like the hunt. You like the the discipline of the daily stuff that leads you to that goal. You crave that.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have that goal anymore, it's like, all right, well, what's next?
And that's why there's always the next thing.
The next thing,
you know what I mean? That's always the next thing. And that's why so many people who like win the lottery and shit are still depressed and miserable because they think for a week, a month, a year, it's like, oh, this is awesome, and then it's just like, oh fuck, this is my life. I just sit around in my big house and stare at the walls. Like, fuck, what do I do?
Now what?
That's why you need that comes down to that purpose. And I know it sounds cliche now, everybody talks about it, but it's so true, man.
It's so true.
You need to do something you love for a living, otherwise you will fucking go crazy.
You're miserable, and people see it. People see right through it.
Yeah.
How old were you with that Bill Phillips? Is that when you were like still in college, or?
Yeah, I was still in college, so I was 20, 21. Mm-hmm. That was like 96, I think. 90. Yeah, I was 18, 19. Yeah, I was 20 years old. It's like 1996. It's actually at home. I found it when I moved the last time, because I actually still have in the office next door. I have every Muscle Media. When it was Muscle Media 2000, right. Muscle Media. Then they changed it a little bit. It got a little like softer. But that's I used to read the Charles Poliquin. He had the Questions of Strength, it was called. But I read that magazine cover to cover. Like I used to. That I kind of missed too back in the day. Now everything's at your fingertips.
Digital, right?
When I was in college, I was like waiting for the mailman to come. Like the first of the month was like the new Muscle Media magazine, and I read it cover to cover in one sitting. And now it's just like the kids don't have anything like that to look forward to. It's like you want something, you go online, you have it right
3
now.
3 seconds,
you know.
Right.
It's there was something to that, like kind of looking forward to it, you know.
So that was 90...
I think 96, 94, 95. Yeah, 96.
When did the tumor happen, man? Tell me about that.
I had it at that time. I still had it.
Okay.
So that's what training around that. The tumor started my going into my senior year in high school. So I played a full year of high school football, 1 year of college, tried another year, just like couldn't take the pain anymore. I was like, this is crazy. All while going 3 times a week to New York City, seeing doctors, specialists. In a 4 to 5 year period, I had 4 major back surgeries and over 100 experimental procedures. And I'm talking like crazy shit. Like the nerve pain was so bad in my leg and they couldn't find the cause of it that I had this one procedure where I laid on my stomach and they took a needle that was like the actual needle was thicker than this fucking pen, and they would go in and burn like some of the peripheral nerves, but I had to be awake for it because if they hit a main nerve, like the sciatic nerve or something, I had to tell them, picture this, somebody stabbing a needle in your nerves while you're awake. You have to remain awake to tell them where the nerve pain shoots. So they would stab me with a needle. Oh my God, that went all the way down to my foot, my whole leg. Okay, we won't kill that nerve. Stab this one. Oh, that's just kind of like in my ass, kind of. All right, we'll kill that one. That's just a little like, well, you don't need that one. Inject it, burn it. And they did that to a whole bunch of nerves to try to just to get me out of pain because I'm in pain for so long. Still didn't do anything to correct the problem because I have a tumor growing inside my sacrum, inside out. And it broke the bone a little bit, so I was misdiagnosed as just a stress fracture in my sacrum for years. They go, oh, you have a stress fracture in your sacrum. And I'm like, I know dudes who have, and I did, that was part of it, but that wasn't what was causing the pain. It was the tumor. Shit. The stress fracture caused inflammation in some little fragments of bone, which was sitting right on the sciatic nerve, which the nerve pain down my leg was 24/7 for 5 years, never went away. It didn't matter, stretching, yoga, it didn't matter because it was just a tumor growing on the nerve, basically. So
you got it removed eventually?
After 5 years, though, I was having another experimental procedure where I was hooked up to a CAT scan machine, which I had 7 or 8 CAT scans previously. And CAT scans show like slices of the bone, like these like millimeter slices of the bone. The tumor wasn't big. They said it was like the size of a pea, or like an eraser head, they called it. Right. So I guess none of the other CAT scans I had or the MRIs, they all showed an abnormality, but they couldn't figure out it was a tumor. It was like, yeah, something's going on with that bone. It's like a little black. There's a little crack in the bone, but it shouldn't be causing that much pain. It's just a stress fracture. That's not uncommon for a young guy who played football. Right. So then I'm getting this procedure done, and I guess the CAT scan on that day showed like the perfect slice of the bone inside, where the doctor at that time, I just remember I'm laying on the bed and I just see the doctors in the other room, like an x-ray technician and all these people, and the doctor goes, oh shit, look at that. I think we got it. And this is after 5 years of torture, misery. My parents are there. My mom have her freaking rosary beads in her hand, crying every week we go to the doctor. And so at first I was scared because he goes, oh shit. And I'm like, oh fuck, what'd they find? That day, he walks in, he goes, I think we got it. He goes, it looks like a tumor growing in your bone. So now I'm like, my life just fucking like flashes in front of me. I'm 19 at the time, 20. And I was like, fuck, is that good or bad? But then I had it for so long, they were like, it's probably benign, because if this is what's been causing the pain, it's been going on for 5 years. If it was malignant, something worse might have happened. Right, and it never got worse. It was very bad, but it didn't get worse. It just was what it was for 5 years. So anyway, long story, not as long. The next day they scheduled me. They're like, we got to remove that. I go in. That was the easiest surgery of all the surgeries I had. They go in. I was still half awake. I remember being groggy, just hearing drills and fucking seeing bone and shit shatter. And it was the craziest thing, because that pain became such a part of my body and my life, although I hated it and it was miserable. I woke up like out of being groggy right after that surgery. It was gone. And I was like, all the shit that I had done, and the pain was always there. I had surgery where they cut through my stomach to get to the anterior portion of my spine. Woke up in agony and still the same nerve pain shooting down my leg. Like, I can't believe I went through that, and it's the exact same. Right. And the doctors would play it along. They'd say, oh well, you just had surgery. Give it a week, give it 6 weeks, give it a month. They would just, string it along, right, because they didn't know what was going on.
You're like, dude, it's still there.
And I'm like, no, trust me, it didn't work. Well, no, you might just be sore from the surgery. I'm like, no, it didn't work. It's there. This one, I woke up and I was like, it's fucking gone. Wow. Holy shit. The problem, and I'm grateful that they found it and removed it, but 5 years of being in pain and like compensating and having all those procedures, now I'm fucked up, like half crippled, just because of some of the surgeries like did nerve damage. I have a scar, looks like I got bit by a shark over my hip, is 36 inches long, going through my stomach to get to the anterior portion of my spine. So that's left me with, I have no feeling in my right thigh.
To
this day I can't feel. I have no feeling up until about like right above my knee, but I can't, I feel nothing here. Got no feeling. Just a lot of like pain, scar tissue, where the last MRI I had, and this is one of the top surgeons in the world in New York, he was just like, I can't diagnose you other than to say you got a lot of shit going on in your back. Don't let anybody touch it anymore. He's like, there's too much. It's bone fragments. There's nerve damage. The discs are herniated. The ones like laterally from always bending to the one side because I wanted to kind of get away from the tumor pain. He was like, you know enough about your body. And this was years ago, but I was in the industry, like telling him I was studying this stuff. He's like, you know how you feel. You know your body. Do stuff that doesn't hurt, but don't let anybody operate on your back again, because I don't even know what they would do. They could pick one of the 27 things
which
that are going on back there, which could, they're cutting you open or they're going in, even the laser and those don't let anybody go in there anymore. So I always, and I didn't need him to tell me that. Like, I'm like, to this day, I have a torn labrum rotator cuff and bicep tendon, and I know that's more common, like dudes who lift have shoulder surgery, but I'm scared to death of fucking surgery because I had so many. It's engraved in my childhood, like surgeries make you worse. Like that's all I know, and because I had the best doctors in the world, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I could work around this because I'm scared to death of waking up and having shit worse because I've been there 4 or 5 times in my life.
So what kind of mental toughness, right? Like as you were going through this, you were still playing ball.
Yeah.
And once you got through it, it's like, all right, well, what'd you do from there? You couldn't play ball anymore, right? So
that's how this is my saving grace, because that was a very hard time in my life. Even my senior year in high school. Not I don't want to sound like Al Bundy, like I'm bragging, but like I went from big time D1, like I was a fullback and linebacker, and I had like Nebraska, Virginia Tech, like big time football schools writing me handwritten letters, recruiting me, and then at senior year I was the captain, still had a great year, played the whole year, but I knew I wasn't myself. And if you watch film, you see me like walking out to the coin toss, I'm like limping,
really?
Like because the pain was so bad. I used to carry Advil in my girdle, my football girdle, because I couldn't go longer than 2 or 3 hours without 3 or 4 Advil it dulled the nerve pain enough. So I had an ulcer at 18 because I'd take like 20 Advil a day, every day for 5 years. Like no days off, because again, the tumor was there, the pain was unbearable, and
you still wanted to knock heads.
I was just like, fuck that. Like, the tough thing was I didn't know, it's weird. It's one thing if you're playing football and you get hit and you blow your knee out, like, I took this hit and I blew my knee out.
Right. I
was a normal 17-year-old kid, star of the football team, captain, Division I scholarship offers, going into my senior year, all excited, training camp. And I just woke up one morning like, whoa, man, I got this nerve pain shooting down my leg.
That's how you discovered
Literally,
it.
one morning I woke up and it was there. I went to bed the night like normal and woke up like, whoa, this is really something really bad. But you don't think, so you deal with it because it's like, I guess I slept wrong.
Right.
It was training camp, football camp my senior year. So it's very easy to just think, I wonder, did I get hit there yesterday? Right. Like I didn't feel anything, whatever, just keep playing, keep training. And next thing you know, the pain didn't go away after a week, a month, the whole senior year. And then it just became like a part of me. But it was just so weird because it just happened, and I downplayed it as bad as it was because it was like, well, it can't be that bad because I didn't do anything to it.
Right.
It's just.
And doctors are telling me that.
And doctors are telling me, you're a normal 17-year-old kid. Looks like you might have a little stress fracture in there. I've seen the way you play football. You're tough. Hit hard. Like you play at a big time school. I went to Bergen Catholic. We were #1 in the state. So it's like it was very believable, like, captain of the football team, plays hard, gets hit every day, looks like he's got a little stress fracture.
Makes sense.
My thing was, you don't know me, I don't complain about shit. Like, for me to complain about it, because when the doctor's like, I saw 20 high school football players this year who have the same stress fracture. You'll be all right, just take it easy, and I'm like, 20 other kids don't have what I have because they wouldn't be playing football. Not that I'm the toughest guy in the world, but like your average person, they're not playing, they're not getting up like your normal person would be on disability right now.
Right.
Like I'm telling you, there's something different. No, and that was 5 years of not believing me. So then when I finally, sophomore year in college, football camp was 2 weeks. I went 1 week, and then we had 1 day off. And I ended up going to a D3 school because I lost all my scholarships. They knew something was kind of wrong with me, even though I had a good senior year. It wasn't like big time D1. It was
DeFranco.
Like,
it wasn't DeFranco.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, he's still good, but something's a little off. And I had a bad concussion that year, which I missed a game, which affected a little bit. But I ended up going to Trenton State, which is now the College of New Jersey D3 school. You have a week of football camp, 1 day off, and then the other week. The day off, I came home, and I remember I like ate with my parents, and I just sat on the couch. And it was the weirdest thing because I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden, I just start bawling, crying. Like, and my dad like walks over. He's like, what? Are you all right? Like, what's going on? And I'm just like I can't. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to go back to school. I can't play anymore. I even think of it now. It's still like I get like it fucks me up because it was such a hard time, and I couldn't even call my coach. And I'm like, I'm a stand-up guy. I'm the type like, hey, if I'm not gonna. Well, there was no texting, but like something big like that, like quitting the team. Like, although I mean, it's an acceptable version of quitting. I guess it's not like quitting, right? Dude. It's like I had to the day that I was supposed to report back. Obviously, I wasn't just gonna not show up. So I'm like, I got to tell the coach because he was a good dude. I liked him, and I tried to pick up the phone and call him like 10 times. I was like, I couldn't like every time I just bawl crying. So finally my dad was like, and I was like so embarrassed because I'm an 18, 19-year-old man, and my dad is calling the football coach for me to say like, I don't think Joe's not coming back to camp. He's got something wrong with his back. We're going to dedicate this semester. I didn't go back to school either. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, we're going to dedicate a semester of we're going to find out what's wrong with this and get you better. And so I took a semester off of school and literally just went to different doctors in New York City. And that's when all the experimental procedures and surgeries and one had me do bed rest in like almost a full body I had a cast from like my knees to my chest. And he said, just don't put any weight on your back for 3 months, only to shower and to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
I literally laid on my floor for 3 months. I just watched TV like this.
20-year-old.
20 years old and like reading the newspaper every day, watching TV.
How'd you not lose your mind?
I did, but there was always that glimpse of hope, like, oh, this doctor's supposed to be one of the best in the world. Maybe he's right. Maybe if I do have some kind of a weird stress fracture that's touching a nerve, it's never going to heal if I keep walking and bending and moving. So if this is what I got to do, fuck it. It's 3 months of my life. I'll fucking do it.
Positivity, bro.
So I tried to stay positive, but while I'm in this cast, I'm like, the fucking pain is still here and it's not getting even a little bit better. But he told me to do this. I forget if it was 2 or 3 months. I did it. He takes the thing off. It's no better. Right. So that was like, talk about like there was always like a glimpse of hope and then fucking devastated.
Defeated,
a glimpse of hope, devastated. A glimpse of hope, devastated. And so then it was just like 2 more years went by. I was getting ready to graduate from college. So like football was just, I knew that was over. So that's when it was, I was going crazy, like literally still crying every day thinking about it. So that's when I was like, dude, I gotta fucking, even though I'm still in a lot of pain, like my brain needs to fucking focus on something. I gotta try to stay busy. I can't cry myself to sleep because I'm not playing D1 college football the rest of my life.
90% of people who went through what you went through probably would have. They would be, not accomplishing what you've accomplished. They may have taken it the other way. Chances are they would have.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Because how do you pull yourself out of something like that and still be relentless? Like that relentless kind of pursuit is admirable, and that's no surprise why you've accomplished what you've accomplished, and you're a freaking legend.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
But go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
But so that was, and I guess when my dad called the coach, that was my sophomore year. That is when I knew in my head. He told the coach, hey, he's not coming back this year. We got to get his back straightened out. It's way worse than he's letting off. Because they knew something was wrong, but again, I was like a quieter kid and I just wasn't a complainer. So I was like, you know, my dad is a military state trooper guy, so it's just like, you suck it up. And while they felt horrible, my parents, but that was always my mentality. Like, I don't want to freaking talk about my problems to other people. Like, they don't care. But I couldn't take it anymore. So he just told the coach, hey, he's going to take this semester off. We need to figure out what's wrong with his back. In my head, I knew, like, right when he hung up on that phone call, I'm like, my football career's done. And so the next 3, whatever it was, I went to school for another 2.5, 3 years. That was when I said, all right, instead of training for football, because that's been taken away from me, I was an exercise science major. I was studying exercise phys. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking put 100% of my focus and just intensity into really doing great in my major courses, because I'm not going to lie, all my other college courses, I was like a C-, D student, and everything else. Straight A's though in like anatomy, physiology, all this stuff that I could relate to training, I loved. Sure. So it was like an A student here, a freaking D student over here, but made it through college, and then just said, that's when I was having the anxiety of like, fuck, like I don't want to get a real job. Like that literally gives me I get the shits in the morning thinking about it. So I got an internship I had to do an internship for the exercise phys program. It was like a 12 credit full year internship at the profession. The major was broken up into like the teaching side, if you wanted to become a teacher, or you wanted to become like a coach, gym teacher, gym owner, whatever. So I was on that side. So you had to get a job at a gym or something related. So I got an internship at the Parisi Speed School, which at the time was like the only place where I call it, they said training athletes. It was just a lot of 7 to like 10-year-olds, but it was like speed training and agility and more athlete focused. And so that's when I just made that decision of like the energy and passion that I had for my own training and trying to make it to the NFL. I'm going to put that into each and every client, kid I work with, just like be obsessed with trying to help them reach their goals, whether it was football, baseball, you know, even at that time I had some general pop clients that are just trying to like get out of low back pain, whatever it was like, be the best at that, change these people's lives. In turn, your brain will be, you know, thinking about them, and that'll make you feel a little better and maybe, you know, help you get through not being able to play yourself anymore. And while I still miss football to this day because it was cut short, it really did and you know, because you're in the industry and you're someone who cares, like the gratification you could get from other people's success when you have a small part in that, like there's not a lot of other professions that there's that much gratification where you really made a difference, you know, and not like I'm trying to take credit for guys that I trained that went to the NFL or got a scholarship, but knowing and hearing them say like, no, you definitely played a part in that. Like without you, I don't think I would have been able to do it. That's my Super Bowl, you know, and it's cool. I've gotten to work with guys who made it to the NFL, guys who played in Super Bowls, kids who got college scholarships, kids who sucked that got cut from the team, and then for them just like making the team and seeing how happy and proud they were and their parents. And you know, I've gotten so many emails and text messages and letters throughout the years from parents and kids saying like, you know, that time in my life when I trained with you was so impactful. It shaped my life. It shaped my career. Kids I trained at 7 that now have their own gym that are like, awesome. Man, I didn't know you could make a living doing this until I trained with you. And when I was a kid, I said, I want to do what Joe D does. You know, like awesome. That's really, really cool, you know.
I think you underplay what you've accomplished a little bit. And I know that I like that humility in you, and that's what, you know, one of the biggest things that I like about you is you keep it real and you don't let all this stuff get to your head. Because if you look around this damn room, it's like, I mean, I was, you know, obviously did my research, Olympics, you trained Olympians, you've trained, like, the list goes on and on and on. And you're like, yeah, I play small ball, and I appreciate that about you, man. That's what keeps you, I think, keeps everybody kind of continuing with positivity. Is don't let that, again, not to be reverting to Gary Vee, but you know, don't people's criticism and people's praise kind of keep that middle of the road, just keep doing your own thing, and I can respect and appreciate that.
You definitely need that balance, especially now now that there's social media and everybody has an opinion and has an instant voice in what you do. You can't kind of believe the hype, so to speak, when you do something good or you're associated with someone good. I always keep everything in perspective, and also it's almost disrespectful while some might say, oh, you downplay some, the impact you've had on some kids, but I also you want to be respectful to their parents, and like if you see someone successful, myself included, all this that I've accomplished, I couldn't do it without my parents' support and people that have worked here and with me and people behind the scenes. Like, nobody ever gets to the top or succeeds completely on their own.
I put something on the other day, like self-made.
Yeah.
And then I put like a laughing emoji. Like, I can't even say that with a straight face.
Exactly.
When you really look at what it goes into making somebody successful or something successful, there's a team of people behind it.
Always. Yeah. And some larger than others. Like, I prefer more a smaller. I'm not that guy that wanted to build a big business with hundreds of employees and all. Like, that's not my thing. Some people are amazing at it. But even if you keep it smaller, you're still not doing it alone. Like, you have to have some kind of a support system. And I'm very weary too of like the people that are self-made. No, I did this shit all on my own. Like,
no, you didn't.
And if you're the 0.0001% that did, I feel sorry for you. That means you have nobody in your life. Like, I actually feel bad for you. So.
Who was your first kind of big time person that or male or female that you trained and you're like, holy shit, like, I'm really doing this, and this is like, I made it? Like, celebrity or athlete?
Probably when I was in my storage closet gym, I did have this one moment where I kind of looked around, because the gym was the size of this room, and it was a weird shape, so it seemed even smaller. It was kind of like an L, and I had a little desk in the corner. So it's this literally.
Was it in your house? Was it in your house?
No, it was in an existing, the basement of an existing health club. So pictures like regular, like a 24-hour fitness type of health club. But downstairs, it was a broom closet. It was where broken equipment and literally the cleaning shit was, like cobwebs. It was the gym I trained at when I was in college. If I would come home for a vacation or whatever, that was the gym me and my dad went to.
Would you say I'll take that space over?
And when I worked at another gym for 5 years, and then when I wanted my own business, I didn't have any money, but I knew I wanted to do it. So I didn't even know what made me think of it. I was like, man, I need some kind of a home base.
Right.
And I just remembered, because there was like a little water fountain, and I remember seeing a room that nobody went in. And there was one time I was friendly with the owner, and he might have I saw him coming out of there, like putting a broom away or something. I just remember seeing this little closet. So his name was Phil, the owner, and I went there to work out, and I was like, Phil, that room downstairs, what is that? Is that just for storage? He's like, yeah, it's just some old stuff. It's collecting cobwebs. Why? And I brought up the idea. I'm like, I kind of have like a unique style of training. There's a couple special pieces of equipment and some things that you don't have in this gym, although it's a great gym. Would you be willing, if I paid you a rent for that storage closet, to just make that almost like my little studio? And he was awesome, because he saw because I worked somewhere else for 5 years, I developed a little bit of a reputation in the area as like, oh yeah, DeFranco trains some athletes, a lot of high school kids go to him. I had trained a couple NFL guys at that point at the other facility. So I was known as like the athlete training guy. So he was like, oh, he goes, shit, you'll pay me money to take the storage closet, which is just there collecting dust, and you're like, he was always honest. He's like, you're exposing my health club. Sure. Not that we're going to compete with each other, but you're going to pay me a couple extra bucks each month. And some NFL guys and some high school kids are going to come here whose parents might be dropping them off, who need a place to train. So he saw it right, because I've talked to other health club owners with that idea, and they were all like greedy, like they wanted, no, you can't train people, like you got to work for me, otherwise I won't let you in here. He had a different perspective on it, and I always appreciated that. He was
What's
like,
the gym? What was the name?
It was called Odyssey Athletic Center in Waldwick, New Jersey. Phil Rosen great dude. Shout out to Phil if he's listening. So yeah, he goes, I'll help you freaking clean that room out. I'll have it painted for you. And then he actually even helped me because I didn't have enough money. I bought 3 pieces of equipment. I didn't have enough money for it. He loaned me the money, and just I paid him like an extra $300 a month rent, and to pay him back for the equipment. He let me spread it out over the first year. Just a really good dude. Really helped me get started. So again, another point of like self-made. I almost forgot that without him giving me that opportunity, we might not be sitting here. Like I talk a lot about my parents and people that I've worked with and trainers, like, Cameron here and, Kev over here helping out with behind the scenes stuff. Like that, I don't give that dude enough credit because that was actually, while he benefited and he made an extra I was giving him $1,600 a month for a little storage closet. So he benefited, but I benefited more. And ironically, the reason why I ended up leaving there because a new owner took over, and that owner didn't like the fact that like DeFranco's shady back room was almost more popular than the big health club. So he was not having
not
it.
As confident not as confident.
Exactly. But portray, they had the mask on to portray that he was, but that was the problem. It was more of an ego thing, and so that's when I ended up leaving. But yeah, that's how it was. That's why I always stress, and I go, literally, it wasn't just like a small space. It wasn't my garage. It was a storage closet with brooms and shit.
Absolutely love that. And you didn't care because you had an opportunity. I'll make it my own. I don't care if it's,
And people follow, and I was even a little shocked, like, because I went from, Parisi's was 30,000 square feet, indoor turf, a beautiful weight room, like nicest facility maybe in the country, let alone the state of New Jersey. And now it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to train people out of this little broken down closet that was, had cobwebs in it 3 days ago. And within a couple weeks, couple months, what you were asking me, like, was there a moment? There was a moment where there was like, it was like 7 or 8 of the 22 starters of the New York Giants. There was like 8 of the 22 starters in this storage closet. And I remember just looking around and being like, holy fuck, like, whoa, is this even real?
That's
like,
wild.
And again, wanting to play pro football my whole life, I didn't make that, but here I am with 8 NFL guys like that respect me enough to train out of this shitty storage closet. Most of them were multi-millionaires, or if not doing very, very well, but they came to this little shitty storage closet because of, me and the training. And like, I just always, I never took that for granted. There was like that moment where I looked around and I was like, oh my God, there's 7, 8 NFL guys here right now from the New York Giants. Like, this is insane. And then I had 1 year, like three Pro Bowlers from the storage closet. And then fast forward, I was in the storage closet 3 years, then opened up my own kind of standalone warehouse gym, which was 2,000 square feet. 3 years after that, my 5,000 square foot, like, which was my kind of dream facility, which I think when people think DeFranco's gym, that's what you see a lot of the videos on YouTube and stuff for. But after I was in it for that, 12, 15 years, there was one point in the NFL, I had 6 kids that were in high school that trained with me in the storage closet as high school kids that were now playing in the NFL. That I trained through high school, through college, went from storage closet with me to small warehouse gym to big warehouse gym. That was like another moment, but that was years later where I was like, wow, I don't know if there's too many other people who could say that they worked. That's like a once in a lifetime thing to say, oh, I had this 14-year-old kid and I trained him from 14 to 30 and he went from high school to college to NFL. I had 6 of them. Damn. And one went to the WWE. It was six NFL pro football players and one WWE superstar, all amazing. Training in a storage closet.
That's amazing. And I think that, not to be the tumor situation, I think that if you would have been actually in the NFL, you wouldn't have nearly as much impact as you have today with giving yourself back to the not only the sport but the programming to get these kids and mindset too. Like, people, you hear their story and you're like, damn, like, he's been through so much. what am I bitching about? Like, get the fuck back on the field and let's get busy, you know? And that whole kind of leadership, and I believe in fate. I believe in, you know, everything happened for a reason, not to be all corny.
No, but that's my mom. That my mom has that same, very like spiritual, and everything happens for a reason, and you know there's a higher power that's looking after you and putting you in the right place, that kind of stuff. And I never thought it like that until she had mentioned. She was the first person to say that. Like, and now that I've trained so many NFL players, like, I don't want to be disrespectful to them. Realistically, maybe I do make it to the NFL if I was healthy. But if I did, in that 1% chance, or maybe a 2% chance, like, the average NFL career is 2.5, 3 years. I'm not going to be Walter Payton.
Right.
If I would have made it, probably would have been one of those guys that played for a year or two, bounced around a couple teams, and got cut. Like, that's really the reality. And because I've trained guys that have done that, and they were dudes that were like All-American in high school. Like, they're phenomenal athletes, but you don't play in the NFL for 10 years and make millions and millions of dollars unless you're the 1% of the 1%. So you're right, that chances, if things went my way, I would have played in the NFL for a year or two, not had all the training and schooling to do this, probably not know what to do with my life, and have a really cool, you know, 20 to 25, 24-year-old life, and then from 25 on be like, the fuck am I going to do? Right. Nobody knows me. I haven't really impacted many people. And you just, you know, I'd be a guy with a picture of me in an NFL uniform, like, you know, sitting at a bar somewhere, maybe.
Meanwhile, you're building your resume, training those guys.
Yeah.
Which I think is so much more powerful, man. I fucking love that.
It probably is.
Who was your first NFL guy?
Dhani Jones was a linebacker with the Giants, and went on to play for the Philadelphia Eagles, trained with me for years. But Dhani, and then Jim Finn, who was a New Jersey guy, ended up, he went to UPenn, he was Ivy League, and he was like a long shot, but made it to the NFL. He was the last pick of the NFL draft, Mr. Irrelevant, and played with the Colts for a couple of years, then got traded to the Giants, which was amazing because he's from Fair Lawn. We went to the same high school, so that was really cool. So I like Dhani, Jim Finn, Dave Deal, who played 10 years in the NFL. His jersey is hanging in the office right on the other side of that wall. He's special because Dhani, I first started training at Parisi. So I met him through another gym, and he came with me. Jim Finn, I went to high school with, so we kind of had that relationship. He trained with me. Still NFL guys that I'm training, but Dave was the first pro football player that I didn't know from before. Like, he came because of the reputation of, I heard this guy Joe DeFranco is really good. And I still have, I should keep it here because I want to show people, that it's real. The medical and athlete questionnaire that I had all the new clients coming in fill out. First day, Dave Deal comes in as a rookie with the New York Giants. And at the end of the questionnaire, which it's like medical history and previous injuries and all this, then I just had like specific goals. Why are you here? And he wrote 3 things. Start, I want to, because he was a rookie, start for the New York Giants, play 10 years. It was, or maybe it was 4, but it was something to the effect of start for the New York Giants, play at least 10 years in the NFL, win a Super Bowl, play in a Pro Bowl. I trained him. He had an 11-year career. He has 2 Super Bowl rings and went to 1 Pro Bowl. And has more, I think Eli Manning is the only New York Giant with more starts than Dave. He missed like 4 games in like an 11-year career. And
you trained him in the offseason?
But during the season, he would still come, but obviously just once a week because he got to train with the team and travel. And again, not taking credit for Dave Deal is successful because of Dave Deal, but it was just cool that the first pro athlete client that kind of came to me, he wasn't a family friend, it wasn't someone I knew before, and then those goals to stick with me and train together for 11 years and still like great friends to this day. And, those are kind of like lofty goals.
I was going to say,
it's so cool that he accomplished that. And he wrote it on the jersey. And I still have 2003. it's like starting to get yellow and all shitty.
Frame that shit, man.
I should.
Yeah.
In 2003, it's like written in pencil, like it's like sloppy, like athlete questionnaire. I remember to this day because he filled out all the medical release stuff and questionnaire, and he handed it back to me. And because the goals was on the bottom, so I was like, oh, like he didn't write them down, but he had a notebook, and he's like, oh, I write down all my goals. I said, well, I'm in this with you now too. I want to know what your goals are. I want to do my little part to help you get there. So I remember he's sitting there and I'm sitting here. I said, well, what are your top 3 goals? And that's why it's like written in pencil underneath like his questionnaire, because he didn't fill that part out, but he read from his notebook that he carried around with him. He read me his goals and I wrote them down. And that was freaking 2003.
Love that, man. What a
really
great story.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
It's cool.
That should be framed in one of your...
Yeah, I'm actually going to frame that. That's
awesome.
A great idea, because I saved it for all these years.
You still friendly with him?
Yeah, I mean, it's in my phone. Don't see him as much because now he's doing great. He retired, but he's a broadcaster. He's an NFL broadcaster, so he's doing a different game each week. So still doing what he loves. He knew he wanted to stay in football even when it was over. So he's a great guy, to get to talk to someday, because at the peak of his career, like he's going to the Pro Bowl, Giants win a Super Bowl. He interned at a radio station in New York City, and I remember thinking like he had just signed like a $31 million contract on top of the world, and I'm like, some of the other guys were like busting his balls, like, dude, you're interning at a radio station, like you're getting the guy coffee and shit. Right. You're a freaking all-pro NFL football player for the New York Giants, left tackle, 6'7", 320-pound monster, tattoos, and he's like, yeah, because I'm trying to set myself up. I know I'm not going to play forever. Like, I just don't want to be that guy. I want to build some connections and set myself up. I'd love to do some TV and broadcasting when my career's over. So he started 3-4 years before his career, like at the peak of his playing, he started, getting his feet wet and other things, and now he's doing that full time.
Planted seeds, man. Planted seeds. Watch them grow. All right, so you're in this 500 square feet broom closet. When did the 5,000 square feet studio or facility come into play? What's the time?
I was 3 years. I don't know if there's some significance to that. In every facility, 3 years in the storage closet. I made a small step, which is I don't consider myself a great businessman, but if that's some advice that I stand by, grow slow. Mm-hmm. Like people, especially now, I do some consulting for like younger gym owners, and I always say if the 5,000 square foot gym was my first facility, we wouldn't be talking either, because I have no business background. I'm a coach that loves training, and I love the gym. And the business grew because of that. I got results and word of mouth advertising.
Passion first.
Yeah, it wasn't. Any of all the business books and marketing stuff you see, I had no interest in that. So when I went from the storage closet was great because yes, it's my own business and it's still very tough, but I didn't have all the overhead. I just had to pay rent once a month to the gym owner, but he's opening up the facility. He's paying for the front desk staff. If toilet paper runs out in the locker room, like that, I was sharing that part of the gym. So it was a nice way to like ease in, like owning a business. I got an LLC. I learned, tax stuff and writing stuff off. I got to ease into that. Now, 3 years later, my own kind of standalone warehouse that's yours. So more headaches, a little more problems, bigger facility, more things to worry about. But managed. 3 years after that, 5,000 square foot facility. But again, more trainers, more just with bigger becomes more issues.
Financially prepared for it?
That was the first time I had it. Everything else besides a couple bucks, Phil lent me to buy the initial equipment. Never had any investors, loans, anything. I did have to take out a loan to open up the 5,000 square foot just because of the cost. And the 5,000 was, it was the other side of the wall of my 2,000 square foot gym. So literally we're only moving the equipment next door, but just moving it, and you have to pay a month and a half rent up front, and rent in New Jersey. It's insane what I pay for just an empty, square. Right. It didn't have heat, didn't have air, didn't have a bathroom. I had to put a little bathroom. in there. We never had air conditioning in our facility, but I wanted heat, so we had to put heat in there. So stuff like that added up. So I took out a $50,000 small business loan, which I used like 25 to 30,000 of it. I had 10 years to pay it back, but I ended up paying it back in 2. I hate having like bills and stuff, which
you're a better business person than you think, man.
Yeah, now once I had kids, the bill I wish I could go back, because now the bills add up a little bit more. But back then I was like, no, I'm getting rid of this. I don't want this over my head. So that was the first loan I took out. I was able to pay that off.
How long did you have it for?
That one we were there for 4 years, and then that's when during that time, I started the DeFranco Insider, which is an online community where it's a membership site where we put private videos, programs. It's a lot for people who are really, really into. They want more than just the free info we put out on social media. That's where I post like some of the programs of our pro athletes, behind the scenes footage from the gym that we don't post online. So thousands of different exercises, seminars private seminars we've done, we post them on there. So that started doing pretty well. And then at that same time, 2011, out of nowhere, I'm training a group of college kids, and I get a call from Triple H from the WWE. Talk about random, you never know where business and life is going to take you. I get a call, and he used his real name, so I was training a group of athletes. The intern at the time my wife, who wasn't my wife, is like, this guy called, he claims he left a message, claims he's like a wrestler. His name is Paul Levesque, something like that. So I'm like, I never heard of him. Put it on my desk, I'll call him when I'm done training these guys. Thankfully, I was training college kids who were into wrestling, so one of the college kids was like, what's the name on the paper? And my wife's like, I don't know. He's like, can you just go get it real quick? And she gets it, like, Paul Levesque. He's like, he rips the paper out of her hand. He's like, that's fucking Triple H's real name. And I'm like, really? So I Google it real quick. I'm like, oh shit, Triple H called asking for me?
I love it.
She's like, yeah, he asked if you could call him. Like, he just had shoulder surgery, and he had some questions for you.
Of all the people, bro.
Really? So
that's wild.
I train them. I call them back, and it turns out this is another great lesson, I think. So this is 2011, 2003, when I have my storage closet gym. The internet just started. Like, it was more popular, but certainly not what it is today. It was still like kind of rare to have a website, and like a newsletter was like kind of a new big thing, to have like an e-newsletter with at least to me it was. On Fridays, again, going back to like living your passion and just doing things you love, I used to do an Ask Joe column where I would answer questions and send out, I would post it on my website as like, they didn't even call it blog posts at the time. It was like an article, but it was a Q&A, and I would send out, I had 25 people on my e-newsletter. It was like family members.
Love it.
But I'd send out, Ask Joe, Friday, new Ask Joe, and I'd answer 3 or 4 questions. It started to become really popular. Like, I just remember going from, it was 25 hits on my website the first week to like 50,000, 80,000, 100,000, and we started getting into back then they made big deals out of hits, even though that could be the same person going on. But it obviously it was growing. I went from 25 to like over 100,000.
It's a big deal.
And then it was like 1 million each month, and I was like, holy shit, this
people are watching.
Ask Joe thing. But I was doing it for free, and I remember the guy who was helping me with my website at the time, kind of like the web manager, because I'm still horrible with online technology stuff. He was like, dude, you're the worst businessman. You have to, he goes, I could put a paywall on your site. You got to make the Ask Joe, that's got to be a paid section. Like, you give away way too much information for free. So he was close. I was close to doing it. I was like, yeah, you're right. But then I'm like, but say they don't pay. Now nobody's going to see this. And then I'm not going to, I feel like now I'm starting to get some high school kids come in whose parents are like, oh, I saw your Ask Joe. We're pretty interesting. You seem to know your stuff. I'm like, I'm starting to, it's kind of like you worked used as like marketing
Sure.
for me. And now that's what everything Gary Vee talks about now.
Absolutely.
But this was 2003. So I end up not doing, like almost getting in an argument with him. He's like, dude, you're fucking stupid. You could be making so much more money. Like, all right, but it's your business.
Happiness over money, man.
I do it for free. But always questioning myself, like, man, maybe I could use some money. Like,
Right.
fuck, should I be doing that? But did it for free for years. 2011, when I called Triple H back, and I go, man, if you don't mind me asking, like, how did you find me? And he's like, oh, I'm a pro wrestler. I always train like a bodybuilder, always super into training. But he's 50 now. At that time, he had just turned 40, which I've been with him 10 years now. He's like, just turned 40 and the body's not like it used to be. I tore both quad tendons, which was like horrific injury. Now I just tore my bicep tendon, just had shoulder surgery. I'm smart enough to realize now I need to make a change in my training. I just feel too big and stiff. Like, I still want to have the look.
Aesthetics,
the aesthetics are huge in our business. But over the past year or so, I started researching more functional training, athlete-based training, how do football players train, how do collegiate wrestlers train. And he's like, every time I Googled something, mobility, shoulder, football player, and increased speed, increased mobility, increased function, he's like, your name's always one of the top 2 or 3 that pops up. And he goes, it led me to, so this is 2011. He goes, you used to do, I don't even know where I found him online, but it said like, Ask Joe. They were like articles or blog posts or something. He goes, man, I probably read every one of those at this point. And I looked up all your shoulder stuff because I'm trying to, rehab this shoulder now. And he's like, the things I read from you on these old Ask Joes, he goes, it seems like they're from, 7-8 years ago. The advice that I've taken from you without ever meeting you has helped me more than anything I was doing on my own. So I figured, why not just call the guy himself and get in contact with him? Would you mind coming to my house, taking a look at my shoulder, taking a look at my home gym? And I know you're in New Jersey. I'm like an hour, 15 minutes with no traffic from his house. He's like, maybe if you know someone in my area, or you could maybe do something where you see me once a month and you write up some programming. I end up going to his house. We hit it off. And again, being someone who like wants to help people, as advanced as he was, and he's a super like smart guy, like really into training and the science and everything, he didn't like, I knew like what I would call our style of training. Mm-hmm. I just kept saying to myself, holy shit, like I know I could help him so much, but I'd rather just be here and show him all the little intricacies. I don't want to just send him a program because he's not going to get as much out of it. So I was like, screw it. I go, would you want me to come here and train you? He was like, holy shit. He goes, he's super respectful for being as famous as he is. He goes, that's what I wanted to ask you, but he goes, I know you have a gym, you have a business, you're an hour and a half from here. I just didn't think it would be possible. And I said, I feel like I want to help you. How about I'll train you, let's do 1 month of me doing it in person. Then maybe you could go on your own. I'll write you up the programs. The month turned into 10 years. Like we hit it off, started training his wife. He married Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon's daughter. Now they're like 2 of my best friends, been training them, their kids.
Love that.
Consult for the WWE now. They opened up a performance center in Florida, which is the strength and conditioning portion of it is basically a replica of my 5,000 square foot gym. The way we laid it out, it was the same exact thing. So that's how I got to that point where I didn't really need I'm like, I love training, I love helping people, but I don't like the business, like there's just more issues with the bigger gym and overhead. That's when we downsized, because we also had an opportunity to, on it, the supplement company had warehouse space that they wanted to turn into a gym, but at that time they didn't have On It Gym. They wanted it to be a brand name attached to their business.
Out here in Jersey?
No, in Austin, Texas. Okay. So Cameron was young at the time and single. Like I'm like, dude, I'm married. I just had kids. I'm like, I can't move to Texas, but kind of a cool opportunity. I'm thinking about, I didn't want to shut the gym down because I worked so hard and I loved it so much, but I knew like I wasn't spending time with my kids, and I was like, man, I'm keeping this open for other people, but in my heart, if I'm being honest, I was almost happier with the storage closet. And I know, and I cared too much what you worry about what other people think, and then it fucks up how you are.
Sure.
I'm thinking, what are people going to think? Like DeFranco's is going under. We're doing bad. I went from 5,000 back to a small facility or no facility. Now I just trained some WWE guys, and so the Texas opportunity helped because it kept kind of DeFranco's gym alive. Cameron went out there, and he ran DeFranco's gym at the On It Academy for 2 years, shut down the 5,000 square foot facility, focused on Triple H, working with the WWE, the online, our DeFranco Insider membership community. And at the time we developed our own certification, so I started teaching that. So I had those other revenue streams where I was like, man, these are all things that I'm really enjoying doing, with still very hard, but way less headaches and overhead. I'm kind of happier doing this.
Evolution, man.
So that's where, and you mentioned this when we were messaging back and forth, like that downsize, while it sucked because I did love the gym, and I just like being around the guys, walking into the gym and seeing everybody. I do miss that
community.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Where was I going with that? But the funny thing is, by getting rid of that, while it sucked for everyone who actually trained at that gym, I reach way more people now because that freed up my time to now have the podcast, which reaches hundreds of thousands of people, if not, that's, evergreen, that sits there forever. So who knows how many people now listen to the first episode.
Yep.
I've been doing it 5 years. It's the podcast, the certification where we train trainers who have huge influences on their community. So, we certify 30 trainers. You're affecting thousands of other people all over the world, which is cool.
The ripple effect.
Yeah, the Insider, it's an online community. I think there's people from 20 different countries on there. So it's weird, by shutting down the gym and not training as many people, I now reach, I mean 1,000 times more people than I reached when I was just in that gym all day, every day, and definitely impacting lives, but impacting 8 people a day, 12 people a day, 30 people on a busy day. But now it's like, how many, hundreds of thousands worldwide.
I'm at that point now with our yoga studio. I was telling you briefly before, we had a 3,500 square foot studio. We wanted to do some yoga, and then we just decided to open up a yoga studio, realizing like a year in, like, fuck, this is another business.
Yeah.
And we're not, yes, we're entrepreneurial because we want to work for ourselves and we want to create something different and solve the problems, but we're not business people. I'm still learning shit as I go. I'm just really passionate about helping people transform their body, build confidence, get healthy. So that was a big thing. And then we have these 2 locations. They're close by. It wasn't like a big travel.
How big was the other location?
We still have the one. It's 3,500 square feet. It's 2 little studios back to back. Like there's it used to be 2 storefronts that we took it over. It was a restaurant before us. So we had made it 2 dining rooms. So there's like a main studio, 3 steps, and there's like another top studio we do our private training out of. It's perfect for us. It is in Main Street, so there's more overhead than the warehouse.
Storefront on a main street, man.
Yeah, I love the area.
Yeah.
It is booming, but there's something to be said about not having that. But I'm still a little bit attached to that kind of environment.
Yep.
But then the yoga studio is right across the street on a side street. It was quaint. It was kind of like different kind of environment. But now we just recently, like this January 31st, we're not doing the yoga anymore. We're going to do some yoga-based mobility classes that tie more into our principles.
Yes.
On the other side, more of who we are. We're not yogis. Who the fuck do we think we are to open up a yoga studio?
Yeah, I don't think yoga when I see you.
No. So it's like, what are we doing with that? But now we're dealing with the same thing because members are like, kind of like, I don't want them to think that we're going under. In fact, like I want to free up more time to do stuff like this and travel, to come out and talk to people like you, and I can do more of that. The online training is something I haven't tapped into yet. But yeah, man, damn.
Yeah,
you talk to people and you're like, I'm doing a lot, and you talk to this guy and you're like, I'm a little bitch. I gotta get my fucking shit together.
There's always levels to everything. So one of the speaking of, I know I talk about them a lot, but it's out of respect because they've impacted me so much. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, while they have hired me and I'm their trainer, I'm kind of like telling them what to do, I guess, for the hour or two that we're together. Each time we train. What I've learned business-wise, they run a multi-billion-dollar company, so obviously I've learned a ton just from being around them business-wise. But every time I'm kind of feeling like run down and like I'm overwhelmed, I got too much to do, I'm doing way too much, like I got to slow down. Then I hear their schedule and talk about feeling like a little bitch. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, sorry, I'm gonna go in the corner.
Stop bitching and complaining, right?
He flew in from freaking Saudi Arabia when they cut some deal over there and flew in. It was a 15-hour flight and was pulling into his driveway as I was getting there. I'm just like, wait, where were you just coming from? He's like, oh, we had me and Vince had that meeting in Saudi, and I'm like, why am I here right now? Like, are you sure you? He's like, yeah, dude, I didn't get to train for 2 days. I've been 15-hour flight. We had a 4-hour meeting and we flew home, but I didn't want to skip training. And we trained at midnight. Just recently, the past 4 weeks, their schedule changed, so we train in the morning before they go to work. But for 9 years, I would meet them at their house at 10:30 at night. By the time they warm up and get rolling, we start training 11:30, done by 1 a.m. And again, so that's people would say to me like, wow, like that's a lot of dedication on you, and you're doing that. And I'm like, well, yeah, I appreciate that, and it is work and it's a sacrifice, but that's my only travel. I go from New Jersey to Connecticut and New Jersey to New Jersey, from my house to here. Where
so he's in Connecticut.
They live in Connecticut. I train them at their house.
That's where you were coming from.
But they travel, from different countries 4 times a week. And the 2 days that they're home, you would think those, and when I say they're home to get an hour nap and take their kids to school, and then they go right back to work. That's where they sneak in with me, put their kids to bed at midnight, and then they have to be up at 4 the next morning, but they're training because for them it's either training at midnight isn't optimal, but it's like better than not training.
I was gonna say better than nothing.
So for 9 years they trained at midnight. It was always a joke. They were like, we found pretty much one of the only trainers in the world that was probably like, yeah, all right, I'll train you at midnight.
I love it, man.
I've always been a night guy anyway.
I love the fact that you're still doing something that you love, that where you started, and you're not so far distracted from, extracted, I should say, from what brought you to where you are now.
And too many people do. I'm sure you've seen it too. I think Paul Reddick is a guy you should get on your podcast if you never heard of him. I could introduce you to him. Great dude from New Jersey. Kind of has become like a business mentor of mine and just a good friend. But he was the first guy that made me feel good about someone that's way smarter than me in business and super successful. And he works with a lot of personal trainers on the business end of thing and relationships and just having a better quality of life. He was the first one to be like, why does every trainer, most people who get in this for the right reason, you're in it because you love helping people, you love training, you love being in the gym, like you worked out yourself and you gain confidence and you want to share that with other people, and those are always the best trainers. And then a natural progression, a lot of people work at a gym, they become the top trainer, they say, I'm going to do this for myself, I have a big, huge clientele, they open up their own gym. Why does everyone feel like the next progression is, well, I'm a top guy, I've been doing this a long time now, I got to get off the gym floor. Like, now I have to become the manager.
Did you ever do that?
And he said, I did. I never stopped completely.
I made the mistake.
But I did it because I thought, it's so stupid. I'm like not a follower at all, yet I guess because I always have that little, maybe it is a lack of confidence business-wise, like, hey, all the successful people that have more money than me and are doing better than me, they say, what the hell are you doing training people? Like, you're above that. And I'm like, shit up, but I love coaching. Like I want to be doing it in some capacity for as long as I'm freaking here. But it was like, no, if you want to succeed, man, you gotta become a manager. And it's so true. Being a great coach or being a great trainer does not make you a great manager of managing people or business owner or entrepreneur. So he's big into like do what you love. Now, I can't, nor do I want to train people 12 hours a day anymore.
Right.
That starts getting
Supply
a little much.
Demand, charge more,
yes.
Bigger clients, right?
You get the people that really want to be with you, respect you, will pay more for your time because they appreciate and respect it. You train 3 of them a day as opposed to 15 people a day. You're still doing what you love, and you have that free time to reach the masses with podcasts and all the online stuff. So that's where I went. That's how we are here today. I went full circle. He was a big influence, Paul Reddick. That's what made me have this little small facility. So when Cameron went to Texas, there was nothing here because I was like told, well, now you're the entrepreneur. You go out and I enjoyed doing some of that stuff, but the thing I liked the most, training people, I didn't have that. And then he was the one that was like, why not do what put you on the map? You were the dude that turned the storage closet into the world-renowned facility. Have whatever you want to call it, a boutique spot, a shady little secret private spot, but a home base where you could train one person a day if you want, or like you still do what you love and you work out of there. And I was like, yeah, don't you think people will think like, oh, he was doing that in 2003, now he's doing it again? He was like, fuck what people think. You know what your business is and where you are and what you do. Who gives a shit? And it's funny because, and maybe there are some people who might think that, but without even trying, this was supposed to be just the private, like this was like my office, my private gym, and where I would train 1 or 2 people. It wasn't even meant, that's why the address isn't public or anything. Right. But then people started seeing videos of people training here and the podcast being here. Now it's become like a destination where people like want to come see the facility. And I'm like, I still haven't even set this place up as like a gym that I was expecting people to come to. Right. But people respect what you do, and now this has become the play.
You're the brand. That's one of the things I love about it, is because you're the brand. I try to create something different than the brand, than me.
Yeah.
And it was like, it wasn't me, and I'm not connected to it. Not that I'm not.
And that's another thing they tell you. You should never. The brand shouldn't be you or your name. That was a big thing back in the day.
That's the thing. But then it's like, well, that's who I am, right? So I followed that model. Working at Equinox, great trainer, loved it, doing really well. I want to start my own business. Cool. I have all the essentials. Let's go to Jersey. There's a lot of money in Jersey. We came to Jersey. Long story short, after like...
Wait, you're not from Jersey?
I am.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'm born and raised.
You're a Jersey guy through and through.
Yeah,
I'd be shocked if you'd have told me you're not from Jersey.
We were living in North Bergen, but I was working in Manhattan. So it was like a bus ride away. Came back to, I knew, like, there's counties in Jersey. Bergen County is one of them.
Yep.
Top in the country per capita as far as wealth. So like, just put me in an area. I love what I do, and I'll make it work. So we found Somerville, and then we popped up shop, and my wife and I, we kind of grew. We were doing meal prep services in the beginning. We were doing a little bit of everything, full service kind of body transformation, right? Expanded into we tripled our overhead, tripled our team. Really weren't ready for it financially. Had our car repossessed. Like, what the fuck are we doing? I'm a great trainer. I want to train people, but now I'm an entrepreneur. So let me follow that path. So we kept going and going and going. And just last year, I had somebody walking around with a camera, paying him $30,000 a year. I had a full team of trainers that I really wasn't doing any training. I was waking up. I was like, what the fuck? Who am I? Like, I was like, what am I doing? Like, what's my role now? Now what, right? And I was missing that training component. Cut the yoga studio down, downsized, and just getting back into the nitty gritty. It's like I feel more comfortable. I was there at 4:45 this morning training people and had a few clients, and I'm doing stuff that I love, and I feel more connected to it. I like your model. I'm going to follow your model, Mr. DeFranco, because I want to do that. I still love training, and if I could, find the right clients who are willing to pay more for my time, I can still make the money that I need to support myself and my family, and not get too caught up with bigger is better. You know what I mean? Like
bigger isn't better. Better is better.
Right. You
live by that motto, man.
One of my notes, like, I don't want to be the biggest. I want to be the best.
Yep.
And that's what you've done. That's awesome, man. Whoo! I don't even know if I touched my questions or not. We just kept jumping around.
It's my fault.
I love it, man. I love it. This is great. That's how I do my stuff. A couple of things I did want to talk to you about. What was your biggest character building moment? As far, like if you're listening to Les Brown, he talks about, he doesn't like to say failures or challenges. He says character building. So what moment in your career was like, damn, I'm really going through some shit right now, but...
Yeah, I mean, I guess the tumor thing, that was before my career, but that, for me, if you character building, like that still for me is
Sure.
Nothing tops that. I certainly have had some tough times in business, and I was telling you off camera, it wasn't so much a single time, but going through the tumor in that 5 years, that's my answer. I already told that story. There was this, I think, another lesson to be learned, because I truly do love this and am passionate about it. It was when I moved into, after the storage closet, the first warehouse that was kind of my own now. Now I felt like a real business owner. It's not another guy that opens up and like, this is my place. That's where we started getting more popularity, and even YouTube started putting some YouTube videos up that were going viral, and started having people now from other states like drive, and other countries, like athletes from other countries, more NFL guys. But being what I like to think, I'm a nice guy, deal with a lot of high school kids. Now everybody wants to train at DeFranco's. That's the place to be, which I was super proud of. But I'm still, again, to your point, yeah, my business grew, but my overhead just quadrupled when I went from storage closet to the next one. So yeah, it looks bigger and better, and that's all cool. But what people don't realize is the expenses tripled. So now I'm making a little bit more money, but I got triple the expenses, and so many people are coming to train with me because, and they're all blowing smoke, and I think for the most part, being honest, when they would come in and say, "Oh my God, my dream is to train here. Oh, you're my idol. Oh, my buddy trains here. I want to train here." And then you say, "Oh, okay, here's our packages. Like, you want to do 12 sessions, 24. We're doing session packages at the time. I don't have any money, but I really want to come here. And can I give you half today, and I'll pay the other half?" And I was the guy that just let everybody go. Yeah, all right, just come in with your buddy. We'll take care of it later. Come for free. Oh, you're NFL guys, multi-million-dollar contracts. Like, all right, don't worry about it, man. You could bring in, if you want, bring in a picture. I'll hang it on the wall. Maybe you could give me a testimonial for my website. So now I'm like this world-renowned guy, and people assume I'm like this multi-millionaire, and I fucking can't pay my bills. Right. Like, I'm broke. I'm like, each month I'm like struggling writing the rent, the gym rent, and my car payment, and the regular bills like everybody else has.
Fuck.
So the defining moment around that time is when we started the DeFranco Insider, which I talked about, this membership
which
site,
is still free.
That's the paid one.
Right.
So that was one of the reasons I was like, man, with so much great information. Like, there are people out there that value and respect some of the stuff we do, and it's not forcing you. I don't believe in, if you're giving something for free initially, I don't like then changing everything. Like, oh, you got to pay for that now.
Right.
So I always put a ton of free content online. To this day, I still do. So that's why I felt very confident and like, all right, we're going to do this DeFranco Insider. That's going to be like the really good stuff. I give away a lot, but we don't give away everything. Like, that'll be like the private community of people that are really into it. Less than $20 a month. Like, it's still not breaking the bank. It's like one session with a shitty trainer is going to cost you,
triple that,
$50, whatever. Right. So, I put that up, and sure enough, and it certainly wasn't the majority of people, but I got a whole bunch of emails like, you fucking sold out, the nerve, $20 now you're gonna charge, now you're big time, you got all this money, and now you're gonna suck us dry for more money. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Little do they know I'm freaking broke. I barely pay my bills right now. The amount of people I'm training for free, I've invested $100,000+ in my education and seminars and books, and now I'm asking for $20 for, and Jim Smitty Smith, my partner in that, is like another guy, super knowledgeable, 25 years experience. Like, you're getting both of us, and there's still people that are pissed. Right. And that was, I did a video that doesn't have the most views, but created the most feedback that I think I've ever gotten. If not, it's a top 3 in my 25 years. So at the same time is when I had kids. I just had my twins, so I got the bigger gym. I got twins on the way, and and everybody's assuming, oh, Joe, that fucking, he's a multimillionaire, he trains. You pull into the gym, it's Mercedes, Escalades, like the parking lot does look like insane because there's all these pro athletes. But I'm Johnny Nice Guy, not charging anybody, right. So everybody's coming for
People
free.
People have no fucking idea.
Working my ass off,
right.
Which in no other profession, and this is, I'm sure you've dealt, anybody listening that's a trainer or coach, there's something weird. We talk about this all the time. I think maybe because we go to work in t-shirts and sweats and shorts, or the gym is what most people do after work. Right. So they just associate it with like, oh, that's where you go hang out. That's like the fun part of the day. Right. So there's something about like they don't think much. They'll come in and while most people are great, like there's a lot of people that are almost like shocked when you charge them, or right. like, oh, you're going to charge me for that, or oh my God, $50, like oh, like, and it's just like you have a job, right, and you get a paycheck after right. 2 weeks. You probably do way less than we do for right. people. But you would never think, imagine your boss didn't send you your check after 2 weeks. You would go ape shit. That's what you're doing to me.
Meanwhile, you're probably stuck in the clock half the time you're there.
Exactly. Right. You're playing on the internet claiming how hard you work,
right.
and then mad if you don't get a raise each year. Like, it's just weird. You'd never go to a restaurant and just walk out without eating and be like, oh, I had to pay for that? I thought I could order the filet mignon and it was free.
We say that all the time. That's one thing we say all the time.
Why do people think it's fine to do in here?
I don't know. And the shopping cart thing, man.
That's another way. Like,
how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yes. So that was a big turning point for me. I know I fucking go long-winded with everything, but it was such a big part of my career because, listen, I'm far from like a hard ass when it comes with that stuff, but I made a video promoting The Insider just to let people know, hey, we now have this service, $20. Still putting all the same info on. We're still uploading to YouTube. I still have my website. You're still getting all the free content. For those who want more, here's this option.
Right.
We put a lot of time and effort into it. You will get your value back 1,000-fold, I promise. If you want to check it out, DeFrancoInsider.com. No big deal, easy YouTube video. And again, mostly positive, but enough to catch my attention of like, oh, you fucking sold out. Oh, figures. Dude starts making money training all these pro athletes. Now he's going to suck us dry for $20 more. Like, you can't just do it for free. So that's when I made another video speaking about that. Saying like, just so you know, like, I'm not going to give you the super specifics, but I'm not a millionaire, right. Nor am I even fucking close. When you come into my gym, and I said, I made the video was a little bit after, so I kind of like had gotten out of the hole a little bit. But I was like, when DeFranco's was a world-renowned gym, when most trainers and coaches and people in the world knew who we were, and people were traveling from all over the world, just so you know, many times when you walked into this gym and it was packed, I was making close to $0 an hour. So for all those who think I'm a multi-millionaire, if it makes you feel any better, I'm not. Not only am I not, almost as little as a year ago, I was struggling month to month to pay my bills as a well-known, established professional in this industry who has helped a lot of people. And that's just being honest. If you don't want to, so I said, not that I have.
Cool. All right, man. Shit. First of all, or last of all, I should say. I don't know. We've been talking for how long? We've been talking about.
I don't even know.
How are these folks going to hear about you? Where can they hear? What's the best place to get in contact with you? First of all, are you taking any more clients on?
I don't know right now about clients. It depends. I'm mapping out my 2020 schedule. I might be in here a little bit more, taking on a group. The best way to find out about that though is Instagram at DeFranco's Gym. You could DM me. I do my best. I don't get to every single one, but I really do my best to read as many and answer as many as I can. And I will post on there if I'm gonna take on, hey, we're taking on a few new clients at our private facility in New Jersey. That's kind of like my main spot for posting information on what's going on with the gym, my personal life, business, everything. So
all your podcast information's there too, right?
Yeah, at DeFranco's Gym on Instagram, and then the podcast is Industrial Strength, Joe DeFranco's Industrial Strength Show. That's on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and CPPScoaches.com is our certification. It stands for Certified Physical Preparation Specialist. If you want more information on that, if you're a trainer, coach looking for the best damn cert out there, you can get more information.
I'm actually interested in that. Is that accredited?
Yeah, that's what we're working on. That's another issue. It should be, because it's freaking. I mean, we have one coming up in New Jersey. You have an invite. I'd love for you to come take it and give us your thoughts on it.
Be honored, man.
It's amazing. It's 2 days. It's very intense, but it's the most practical cert, hands down. Because it's 7.5. We're going on 8 years now, which is awesome. But you're competing against I don't know how long NASM's been around, and CSCS. So it's like the old boys club of who knows who. With getting accredited,
politics, sure.
It's a lot of politics, and this cert's a little better than ours. We don't want to promote it. So we're just hoping enough great coaches, trainers, gym owners now have taken it. We have coaches in 13 different countries. Close to 2,000 trainers. Not a ton, but it's spreading, and they're really, really good. And these are all people who had other certs, and they have something to compare it to. And 100% hands down are giving us feedback of this is the most practical, usable combination of science and real world stuff. So hopefully it gets legitimately accredited, but I'm almost thinking of, I always try to think bigger,
who cares?
Who's going to tell me mine's accredited? I don't accredit your cert.
Exactly.
Fuck your cert.
Exactly.
I don't accredit. I might start my own. What do you fucking accredit? What's the word I'm looking for?
I love that.
Accreditation committee.
It.
And I'll see if I want to accredit your freaking cert.
You mentioned the word practical,
Shit,
man.
Cert.
When we were hiring people for our new studio, we hired this girl who was she was fresh out of college, so she didn't have any working experience really. But her resume, as far as what she studied in college, was all right, this girl is going to kill it. And then we require them. We highly suggest that they take classes, so we can they can get involved with the community, and then we can see how they work out. I watched her do a deadlift. I'm like, what are you doing? Deadlift is the most simple, basic movement that you should be mastering if you're going to school.
And if you're a trainer, you should be able to coach a deadlift.
So what did you learn with your exercise science degree? From Miami, University of Miami. What exactly did you learn?
That's what's crazy though, because I have an exercise phys degree. That's a good point that I never even thought of. They don't no courses do I know of do they teach how to teach barbell or basic fundamental movements.
That's the practical shit.
You don't learn how to teach that in any. I'd love if anyone has a new. I'm old now, but maybe some schools have changed that. But think about it. You're training. You're going to school for a degree in exercise science, and that's not part of the curriculum, how to teach an exercise.
That's my biggest pet peeve, because science has become such a powerful... You can go to school now to become a bodybuilder, which is mind-blowing to me, but there's certifications, and there's college classes. It's mind-blowing to me. But the science aspect of it, and these kids, they're younger adults, and they're graduating, and they have these science degrees, and they apply it immediately to their clients online, most likely. But you're not really practical. How do you teach somebody what you're learning? Because you're not really applying it to your. Not that they're not applying it to themselves. I shouldn't say that because I'm going to piss people off. But the practical stuff is really where it makes sense.
That's what most certs are missing, the practical stuff.
Again, I'm general population mostly. Mary Sue, who wants to lose 50 pounds, she needs to know how to work out, move her body, because of where she's at. Not what you learn in a book that's teaching you the real in-depth stuff. Not that that's not important. I don't want to discredit that. But that bridge and teaching people how to be practical with
that should be the first. It's funny. It's not taught, and it should literally be 101, the first course you teach. Right. And also even that. Now think about it. Yes, you should be able to coach a squat, a lunge, a hinge. An upper body push, pull, all the fundamental movements. Yet, as you know, when Mrs. Smith walks in, you could be the greatest trainer in the world. You teach her how to do a body weight squat, and you say, okay, now you do it.
Right.
And it's not going to look anything like you taught her. So where's that education where, okay, now I know how to teach a squat, but when I'm watching this client do it, 99% knees buckle in, lower back round over, heels come off the ground.
Yeah.
Now what do you do? Right. You know, you don't just keep yelling at her the same cue. No, sit down, sit back. Keep your heels down. Heels, like, she physically can't do it. So now do you know the steps to take?
Right.
That's 101. And not to blow smoke, but like that's what our cert.
I love it.
It's that kind of stuff. Like, okay, that's great. You're all pretty educated. That's why you're here. Now we're going to teach you what happens when Mrs. Smith comes in, or an athlete comes in, and you say, all right, we're going to barbell bench, and then he goes, I can't do that. Freaking kills my shoulder. How do you know how to think on your feet? Do you know how to problem solve? That's what our business is all about.
Regressing it and finding an exercise that they can do.
Damn, bro. We got to do part 2.
We do.
I need to get you on my podcast because your story is freaking phenomenal.
Let's do it, man.
We got to.
I would be honored.
I want to set that up.
Be absolutely honored, man.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be a hit.
Did you see me making faces? Is that still recording? All right, good. Dude, I was trying not to, like, my back kept spasming, and I was like, oh.
I know about the back pain.
Let me get a handshake and I'll take a screenshot of this.
Well, I'm gonna.